So, what happens when a superpower decides to choke off the economic lifeline of an entire nation? That's exactly what's unfolding in the Caribbean right now, where a U.S. naval blockade is targeting Venezuela's most vital asset, its oil. And believe me, the fallout from this could totally reshape the global energy map.
And that's a question with some pretty huge consequences, right? When you have warships surrounding the country with the world's largest oil reserves, it's way more than just a political statement. It's a direct threat to the government's survival, and it was all triggered by one single, decisive action.
So this is the blockade, right here in action. The United States Navy has been ordered to intercept and, well, effectively seize Venezuelan oil tankers out on the open sea. The goal is crystal clear: cut off the Maduro government's #1 source of cash.
And look, this wasn't some quiet, behind-the-scenes move. The Trump administration came out and publicly labeled Maduro's government a terrorist regime, and they warned that the U.S. military presence in the area was only going to grow. This kind of language really transforms an economic pressure campaign into a direct geopolitical threat.
Okay, so you might be wondering, why is this blockade such a massive deal? Well, it's because for Venezuela, oil isn't just another commodity. It is the very foundation of the state.
Just let this number sink in for a second. 50%. Over half of the entire Venezuelan government's budget comes directly from oil revenue. So if you cut that off, you're not just hurting the economy, you are threatening the state itself. And you can see the chain reaction they're going for here. When the oil money suddenly stops, government revenue just collapses. That fuels hyperinflation, which then creates massive shortages of essentials like food and medicine, which in turn is meant to lead to social unrest. The blockade is really designed to create this immense pressure from the inside out.
But these economic numbers, they're not just figures on a spreadsheet. They have a real human cost. Beyond all the geopolitics, this blockade is creating a daily struggle for survival for millions of ordinary Venezuelans.
I mean, for the person on the street in Venezuela, this blockade isn't some abstract political idea. It means real, tangible hardship. It means spending hours, sometimes even days, just waiting in line for gasoline. It means watching prices for basic things go through the roof. And it means living with this constant, gnawing uncertainty about whether you'll have enough fuel to get to work or even enough food on the table.
Naturally, this has kicked off a major war of words. So when the U.S. seized a Venezuelan oil tanker, Maduro's government immediately called it an act of piracy. The Trump administration fired right back, claiming they were just reclaiming stolen American oil. You've got two completely different stories for the exact same event.
But here's where it gets interesting. Independent legal experts, they have a totally different take. They argue that under international law, the oil on that tanker legally belongs to the Venezuelan people, not some specific American company. This challenges the entire premise of the U.S. claim.
Now, this whole thing isn't just happening in a vacuum in the Caribbean. The actions being taken here are sending shockwaves all across the globe, and it's affecting international relations, markets, and the very stability of the region.
But get this. Here's a really fascinating counterargument from a legal expert named Mariano de Alba. He warns that this super aggressive U.S. stance might not weaken Maduro at all. In fact, it could do the exact opposite. It could actually strengthen him.
So how on earth could that happen? Well, think about it. Nothing unites a population like a common enemy from the outside. The narrative of U.S. imperialism is a really powerful one in Latin America. An aggressive American blockade could actually let Maduro rally his fractured supporters against what he can easily frame as foreign aggression, tightening his grip on power.
And you better believe the impact on global markets was instant. Even though Venezuela's oil production has fallen, it still holds the world's largest proven reserves. Just taking that potential supply off the table, even for a little while, is enough to create some serious volatility and spook investors.
And it's not just about the price of oil jumping around. This disrupts these highly specialized international supply chains. See, some global refineries are specifically set up just to process Venezuela's heavy crude oil. For them, finding a new, compatible source isn't easy, and that sends ripple effects through the entire energy sector.
So, okay, we've got economic pressure, a human crisis, global fallout. It all boils down to one critical question. As this blockade tightens its grip, the future of Venezuela really just hangs in the balance.
And that's really the question at the heart of this entire situation. Is this immense pressure actually going to succeed and cripple the Maduro regime, maybe leading to some kind of political transition? Or is it all going to backfire, strengthening this hold on power and just making the crisis worse for the Venezuelan people? The answer is going to define the future of a nation and send ripples all across the world.